Hello and welcome back to Operations with Void. I'm your host, Forgotten Void, and this week we will be covering the operation The Ultimate Frontier, specifically in the light cruiser Helena. Now, the route that we're going to take is going to be similar to any gun-focused light cruisers, ones where the torpedo is a secondary armament or just not very useful. So the British, the Russian, and the American light cruisers and certain premium light cruisers from other nations, where you either only have a couple torpedoes per side or the torpedoes only go out 6 kilometers, so they're not very useful. Long ranges and tough, you're not going to be within range to use close range torpedoes most of the time. So any gun focused cruiser could follow the same route. Helena in particular has no armor. 16 millimeters of plating all around with a tiny belt. Most part has no armor. So that's going to hurt survivability, so you don't want to be shot at. Because it has no armor, you will take a lot of damage from a lot of things. So you will try to minimize by being shot at by using islands. But with operations like Tough, where enemies come from all sides, it may not always be possible. We will be showing that in the battle. Anyways, with that, let's go into Tough. Here we are, obviously not in a division, as there's a division up top of a Nelson and a Colorado. Speaking of divisions in the Ultimate Frontier, if you're running in a 3-man division, and you are not, there is at least one battleship in your division, but not everybody is a battleship, then the battleship will spawn down south with the reinforcements. And that's also provided that there's also another random player also in a battleship. If you are in a division of 4 people or more, you can't take all of your players cannot take battleships, and so all the battleship players will spawn in the north. If you have 1, 2, or 3 and you're in a division of 4, the battleship players will spawn up north and the non-battleship players will spawn to the south. Anyways, we have our guns facing towards the rock, this close rock that we are about to pass. If you pass that rock and you go towards the destroyers will immediately turn and run away, making them hard to kill, and you won't encounter them until they're spotted somewhere around E4 up north. It's very annoying. So players should not cross the rock until after the destroyers are destroyed. Running a light cruiser, a gun-focused light cruiser, we're just not going to cross that rock at all. And here you see the Cleveland running his radar, 9-kilometer radar, just barely in range. That's the one of the advantages it has over the Cleveland. Sorry. One of the advantages that the Cleveland has over the Helena. And we got 5 hits there. We're going to use our floaty shells to try and get them over the island. It doesn't matter, the arbor mile killed it anyways. You don't get radar until tier 8. You don't get 1/5 pen until tier 8. We're stuck with the 1/6 pen of 25 millimeter, which is still okay. And so we're keeping our guns towards the battleships, but the smoke screen is keeping them from spotting us and us from spotting them. And if you see on the mini map, we have the 3 aerodrome locations, well, the airplane entrance locations, those have a few different variations. So the Dallas can spawn. The Dallas spawns at the middle one, and the Atlanta spawns at the northernmost one, always. So we know that Dallas is going to spawn. In fact, it's already spotting us. And so we'll be turning to deal with it shortly. Because while we can set fires, if you notice, that was 7 non-penetrations. We're not going to get much damage if it's not fire damage on the battleships. So we're loading AP. Armor piercing for the Dallas. Because we want those juicy citadels. And the Dallas slows down to stop at the airplane mark. And then it will speed up again. So we're keeping that in mind. But it didn't speed up because it died. Thanks to the combined fire. Not always do your allied players focus on the Dallas, so you'll have to focus it or shoot it often. And at the beginning of the match, there was a player who said they were going to go after the northern cruiser. It was the Renown, I believe. So we don't have to worry about it because they're focusing on it. Now, since the New Mexico is already on plenty of fires, we're focusing on the New York to get it on fire. Because with only 25 millimeter of penetration, we're not going to get much damage off of the New Mexico if it's not fire damage. And there we got 2 fires, but it's already used its DCP, so we're going to swap to the Wyoming to see if we can bait out the DCP there. And then we'll swap back to the New York after a couple of salvos. Since, there we go, we got a fire on the Wyoming, so now we go back to New York. Someone else lit a fire. Yay, we're being a team player. We're making sure the DCP's down for other people to get fires. It's okay. Spoiler alert, we're top of the team in this one. So now that New York has a couple fires, we're going to go back to the Wyoming because the Wyoming DCP damage control party action time has gone down. So we're going to go to set our own fires to get some damage in there. Okay, New York's easier to target, and so we're going to go for the rear half of the ship to see if we can set fires on the rear half. One good thing about the floating shells is you can shoot over islands that other ships usually cannot shoot over. The bad thing is it's difficult to lead because it takes so much time for the shells to get over there. And so we're swapping to the New Mexico for a salvo. And if you notice, we're not going straight to the heel circle, we're hanging back over here. And there's a big reason for that, and that's the cruisers. There's the 4 Omaha class cruisers. If you're in a heavy cruiser or a battleship, you want to be shooting at Omaha and Phoenix class cruisers from the bow with APs so you can get the Citadel through the bow and you have enough armor to penetrate the shells. Light cruisers, on the other hand, want their broadsides. And we're just going to get a couple more salvos off on the Wyoming. I think this next salvo, yeah, we already have AP queued up, and now we're swapping targets. And we got the Wyoming with that salvo.
Enemy battleship destroyed.
And five penetrations. But notice we're not getting just all over pens. If it was a heavy cruiser, we might have gotten all over pens. So And these ships, they travel around 40, 45 knots going up. And there we go, 7 citadels. Almost deleting the Marblehead, and then we use that little key slot to shoot at the Marblehead when it can't shoot back at us. And notice we're using the island to make sure that not all of them can shoot at us. Maybe only one of them can shoot at us, because the combined firepower of all of them is more than much more than the Helena's firepower. So we don't want to get into a one-on-one fair gunfight with them, because the Omahas will easily take down a Helena or even a Cleveland or any other light cruiser. And there we go, 3 citadels to get that one down, and now we have one more Omaha. There you go, 3 more citadels. Just notice how easy it is to get all these citadels from the broadsides of the cruisers. Citadel for that. Now we're going to head for the hero circle. Now that all the cruisers are taken care of, it usually takes a lot more, but now that, because we had the broadside, we were able to make sure that they died. And you see the Legal, who's telling the Alba to get out because he can't tell the difference between a bot and a player. Quick hint, if you press tab while you're playing, you can tell if there's an Alba on your team or not. And now you can see how slowly I type. Yes, I am slow at typing. See, I just pressed tab. That's what it pulls up, and there were no Albas on our team. That's very much a bot. And because of that, it actually does not have any programming to go into the hero circle. And you have the Renown, who's laughing about that. Oh, the chat. I'm using a mod that tells me what ship, who's in what ship that's talking in chat. And that mod is really helpful for any kind of communication. So you can see who is saying what, who is saying they're going to go where. Because not everybody says the ship name when they say, I am going to do this or I am going to do that. And so with that mod, it's on the mod station, the Wargaming Zone mod manager. So it's really nice to have. I wish it was in just a feature in the game and you didn't have to have a mod for it. But that's how a lot of things, like the minimap, I have no mods. I'm not running any mods on the minimap. And all of those circles used to be a mod that were just put into the game naturally. So here we're just going to coast through the hero circle to get some things. And notice how everybody's just grouped up around the hero circle. You actually don't want to stick in the hero circle unless you're a carrier. You kind of want to go in and go out. It's like Newport, where the hero circle is actually in a very bad position to shoot at enemies. It's almost like they intended you to either heal or shoot at enemies. So we're going to go out a little bit. So we're loading AP, hoping to get some broadsides. But if you notice the planes going to the left side, that means that since the first wave was on the on the left side of the map, and now the planes are going to the right side of the map, the third wave will be center. Unlike Newport, it's not a pendulum style. And here we have whiskey. Unlike Newport, tough is not a pendulum style. Each section can only get the enemies once. And so if the enemies spawn on wherever the enemies have spawned already, they won't spawn there. And that means that the third wave will be center.
Enemy destroyer blown up.
And because the enemies only spawn in a section they haven't spawned in, it reduces the number of variations by a lot. Each wave in itself has a number of variations. Like Whiskey here only has... Whiskey here can have
Destroyer foundered.
sims. Sometimes it won't have sims. Sometimes it'll have 2 Farragets. I believe they pull from a pool of ships. Possible ships. And you notice now we got Whiskey down. So we saved the repair circle at the cost of all of our HP. And that's what I mean. We're just facing destroyers. And just their front guns at that. And we lost all of our HP. And now we have the Sims who's going to be spotting us. So our next goal now is to go back to the heal circle to try and repair. But we have AP loaded because we need ships down. The first group, we did not destroy the targeted ship within the allotted time. Because no one went out to go kill it. Except for us, but we got distracted by Whiskey. So, you know, it's you win some, you lose some. And the next target is the Cleveland. We were able to bring down the Omaha a lot, so with the target being the Cleveland, and that wasn't killed by the first Omaha. I believe it was Omaha. The first wave can only have Omaha or Pensacola, so it's either Omaha or Pensacola in the first wave. So here we are, and we are able to get in the heal circle. North Carolina luckily misses, so we don't get outright deleted just yet. And push some more,
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
we're able to get that out. So now we're swapping because we're going to let our team deal with the North Carolina because that's the only thing that they seem to be focusing on. Especially with 2 of them in the harbor. You don't ever want to go in the harbor. Unless you have to chase a Clemson in there that somebody spawned. And the Sims. The Sims is, it's an okay, well, it's actually a pretty good destroyer. But it has very, very floaty shells, which means for a player, it's hard to aim. The bot, on the other hand, even with the floaty shells, it's going to hit you. And if you notice the shells flying over the island, yeah, there's a couple of destroyers over there that are shooting as well. And so even though we're at half HP, right, we want to get that Sims down. So because that's the one that's been spawning us. And there's a Farragut also with floaty shells, a Cleveland with floaty shells, and they're all going to be shooting over the island. And there we go, we got the Sims down. Okay, now we're gonna go for the Ranger because it's a target. We should be moving closer to the helo circle, but we don't because we want to be able to shoot over the island. Also with the, I believe that's Wichita's radar. So you notice we have a couple of things targeting us. It's probably the Benson and the Farragut and the Dallas. Of those. Yep, and there we got shells in the Dallas. And there we got an HE Citadel on the Ranger. But we swapped to AP because at that distance the AP has won't be overpenning. And since the Ranger has no armor, we're not going to get much ricochets. But we went and swapped on the Benson and the Farragut because they're the dangerous ones. And now the Dallas is shooting at us. We really do not have HP, so we went ahead and put that fire out. As we're turning to get into the heal circle, we have AP loaded for that Cleveland once he pops around the corner. Usually the last stand should be made in the heal circle. And the ship's out behind the heal circle. That's not where you're supposed to be even at a last stand. The last stand should be in the heal circle. And here's why. We get a nice broadside to a Cleveland. And because we're in the heal circle, we can heal back most of the damage. So we're turning our guns to try and hopefully go for the Ranger. So we put a blind shot out. But since no one's else is closer, they're all hanging it back behind a Helena. That Missouri. Yep. There we go. Only took a few overpens to kill us. While our Legal and Nelson hid behind. Probably would have been healthier if they were in the heal circle. But since the Albemarle single launched those torps in a widespread defeats the purpose of single launching, we were not able to get the star of getting the Missouri, the 3 aerodrome targets, nor were we able to get the Raptor because the Raptor we just couldn't kill. But look, it's still a decent XP even for a 3-star win. We have 1600 top of the team, and yeah, we had actually more damage with our armor piercing shells than with our high explosive, with half the number of armor piercing, and that's the power of citadels. So being able to not just use HE and swapping between the two, that is a very important skill for any kind of cruiser player. Armor piercing is especially important in operations. Anyways, that is the ultimate frontier as played by a gun cruiser. We may not have gotten our 5 stars, but still, if you are with better players and you do pretty much the same thing, it is more likely that you will get 5 stars. If you have any questions or you have any comments, go ahead and put them in the comment section. This is actually the second time I'm recording this video because the first time my mic didn't pick up. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully this one will make it better. And next video, I should not have those issues. I hope to see you again next week. If you like this video, give it a like. If you want see more videos, subscribe. If you don't, no, I don't. I won't tell you what to do. Have a good one.